Big one, dude. Cat's Hill, 3-4, last race of the day. Kind of cool that we're racing last, but dude, I'm nervous, man.
Saving the best for last.
I don't know about that.
Why are you so nervous?
Well,
it's not like there's a hill on the course or anything.
There's a hill on the course. Never raced with a hill on the course, and there's like a pretty significant downhill as well. So it's like two things that I haven't really had experience with yet. So I'm excited, but also kind of nervous.
Okay, EJ, I think I know why you lost this race. In fact, I know why you lost this race.
Jeff, enlighten me. Why did I lose this race?
Welcome back to the channel, by the way. This is EJ. This is Couch to Crit, where we bring EJ from couch fitness to crit success. Except today we are doing Cat's Hill Classic, which has a ridiculous hill in it. And the first problem you're having here, EJ, is the clip, and you are still not even clipped in.
Yeah, I remember this, and dude, I was like panicking because this was a huge field too. We started with the juniors, the masters, Cat 4, and the Cat 3s. So it was like
they combine different fields. EJ's Cat 3, but they combine like 3 or 4 fields, like EJ said. So they're like 80 or 100 people in this race, which is kind of crazy. And when you get a really bad start like that, yikes! On a technical course like this with a hill, and you have varying abilities because they combine so many different groups of riders. You have people who are really fast, who are at the front right now, smashing away. And a good corner right there, by the way. We're going to talk about this whole race. We're going to break this thing down. But, oh, my God, EJ, panic sprinting up this hill, 1,200 watts.
Yeah, and like, wow, dude, I'm going to say it early in this video. Hindsight's 2020. This probably wasn't the best idea, right? Like, or was it? What should I have done in this situation? If someone doesn't get the clip in, for people who are listening,
don't panic. Like, it's out of your control. I mean, the clipping part was kind of in your control, but like, don't just panic, kill yourself in the first like 2 laps of this race. And the last place you want to move up on a hill, especially being a in terms of cyclists, a larger guy. EJ, you're like what, 170 pounds or something?
175. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's like slightly on the heavier side for cyclists. We're skin and bone most of the time. But the hill's not the place to move up because, like you just saw, I mean, yeah, you moved up a decent amount, but it cost you 1,200 watts. That's a lot. No matter who you are, that's a lot of power. And then also here, like coming down the hill, I mean, when you're going, the faster you're going, the more benefit drafting has. And you were not in the draft at all there. No. And now you're seeing to get back up to speed, it's costing you another 1,000 watts. You want, on a course like this, those 1,000 watt, oh my God, you're doing so much power, EJ. Those spikes in power, you need to save them, right? Because about every 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, you're spiking it up, going up and over that hill. Every single lap, right?
Oh, definitely. And like you put this perfectly. I mean, I'm making these huge mistakes. I'm not quite settled in. There's a crash to our left here, which splits off the field, by the way. But yeah, it felt like every time that I was about to recover, you hit that hill again. And then it's just like, you know, your heart rate's blown to pieces again and it spikes up because you have, like, I mean, you can't really, me being 175 pounds, it's hard to do under 1,000 watts up that hill.
Yeah, you can't, I was just about to say, you can't sag climb this hill. Sag climb, you start at the front and you intentionally fall back on the feature, which is this hill. You can't do that. It's just too steep. If you do anything less than, like, at your weight, like 800 watts, like, you're going to be going backwards in a serious way because it's like 23% or something like that. So it just requires a ton of power for everybody in the field, especially bigger riders. So that is like a mandatory effort on each lap. And EJ, the panic, at least like I mean, now you have to make the effort, right? Now that that crash really kind of twisted the knife. Like the bad clip in was one thing, but the field was all still together, albeit it was all in single file kind of starting to fall apart. But that crash really sealed your fate. Now you really have to close this gap, and you've done so. I mean, but at what cost? What was your average power for the first 2 laps of this race?
I looked at it. I think like first 3.5 laps normalized was 427. That's what I remember. Which is just
not how you want to start your race, dude. But there are areas on this course where you can certainly be more efficient, and that's what I want to focus on for the rest of this commentary. That's what I was alluding to in the very intro. And look how you take this final corner. You need to preserve your speed through these corners. That is going to be a major theme in this race. Let's talk about it. Okay, so, like we said, you've leapfrogged your way up to the front group. Kudos to you for doing that, EJ. I know that is not easy given the circumstances. But now it's time to sit in, save energy, and then hopefully contest a field sprint. But in order to do so, on a course like this, it is paramount. It is incredibly important to save energy, and we got to talk about your cornering, dude. You're spending a lot of energy here out of these corners, and you're not really preserving your speed. If we rewind and we look at that last corner one more time, let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so right here you're doing 0 watts. If you just would have kept it up and closed that little gap, you didn't have to spike it up to 600. And I know what you're thinking. It's not that much power, right? But if you're doing that out of each corner, we already talked about how important the feature is on this course, that hill. You need to save those bullets for that hill. You only have so many 600 watts. And if you'd have done just 200 for a bit instead of 0 and then 600, that makes a big difference because it's every corner you're doing this. Look, again, you're up over 700 watts. You accelerate into a corner, and then you carry your speed through the corner, and that saves you from having to do this. EJ, you're in the wind right now, man. You may as well be off the front, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just like you said, I just didn't take that corner very well and just dealt with the ramifications of it. And I mean, like, dude, it's hard to watch again and again, but I think I'm starting to figure it out. If we fast forward a little bit later, I think I start to put it together.
Yeah, and let me explain something though, because I think there's a misconception. Like EJ's cornering mechanics are fine. Like you're not dangerous. You're not taking weird lines through corners. The path you're taking through the corner is great, but there is a nuance to preserving your energy, and it makes a big difference. Like I said, the ideal way to do it is you carry speed into the corner, and then you preserve it. Like you try not to use your brakes at all, and that prevents you from having to spike up when you're exiting the corner because you want to carry as much speed through it as possible. And if you're like braking into a corner because you're about to run into the back of a rider, you've timed it completely wrong, and then that means you're gonna have to do 1,000 watts to get back on terms. So I just wanted to make that clarification. Okay, a little further on in this race, and this is I think a good example. This bottom corner is so fast, and I want to point out a couple of the things you could have done better on this particular corner. You're carrying so much more speed than these riders. I'm going to pause it right here. Now, we have some options here. We have rider in the red, and you took such a good line, EJ, through this corner. Like we talked about, your mechanics, like your line choice is superb, but you're not carrying your speed. And you can see already, you're not even through this corner yet, or you're already up to 500 watts.
Yeah.
And you have a decision to make here. This is the way I see it, is you can jump on red's wheel, and that's going to cost a lot of power. It seems like that's what you're gearing up to do. Or you can just do like 200 watts, and you can slide in and you can occupy the San Jose, the white helmet rider here with the blue jersey, take his wheel. I would just slot in and take the blue rider's wheel, swing out wide. You took the inside on black helmet. I'm not worried about him taking the wheel from you. You're bigger, you're stronger, you're more assertive, EJ. And I would just do that. If this was like last lap or something, obviously the decision process is a bit different. But if we go back and watch it one more time, there's that gap we're talking about, and you kind of like do neither of, like none of the above, EJ. And,
no, I just sit out in the wind.
And it's like 900 watts, and this is what we talked about. It's not, doesn't seem like a big deal because we know what you're capable of, but the problem is this will catch up with you. This will catch up with you. A little foreshadowing because that freaking hill. Am I right? How crazy is that hill, dude?
Oh, dude, like I said, every lap it hurts, and I mean. Oh, dude, it's just I hope it starts to click soon, and like I feel like I'm getting better and better each race, but it's still frustrating hard to watch. And I don't really have an answer as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like I know what I should do, and then in the race it kind of just seems like I black out, but I'm becoming more and more aware each race. For you guys in the comments saying like, well, you're not changing anything from the previous video that we saw. Like, I mean, like these were week by week, like it's starting to click. It's coming.
It's funny that people expect you. They're like, hey, in 1 week's time, master this sport completely. Guys, if it were easy, everyone would do it. And EJ is progressing faster than I've seen any other athlete. Obviously, we know his fitness is great. And you're getting there. And yeah, like this is the tough part. I mean, like you can have all the power in the world, but as you're already learning in the Cat 3s, that's not success in bike racing. It took me a long time. It took me more than a few weeks to figure that out. That's for sure. It took me years to figure that out, EJ. I always thought it was just the strongest rider wins, and this isn't running, guys. This isn't triathlon, right? This is bike racing. Drafting matters, cornering matters, and it's not even the line choice. It's like we're talking about in this race. It's preserving your speed because if you don't do that, you find yourself in this uncomfortable position that EJ is, where it's like you're spiking up to 800, 900, 1,000 watts, not on the hill. And on a course like this, holy crap, you're penalized for that.
Oh, yeah. And I think, actually, I want to add something real quick, which I think is super cool that I tell a lot of people this about you, and I don't mean it in any disrespect, but
Uh-oh, here we go.
you're definitely not the most fit guy in the P12s, but you found a ton of success.
Excuse me, I train 7 hours a week, EJ, okay? Thank you very much. No, that's totally true. Yeah, because I've mastered these other disciplines. I don't take it as a dig, so we can still be friends, EJ.
Okay, good. Well, that and the anabolic steroids help for sure.
2 words, EJ. No, I'm just kidding. Let's fast forward a bit because you did get a lot of corners right. I don't want this to be a let's stomp all over EJ party in this video.
No,
so
it's okay.
So
it's okay.
let's show them one of the great corners you took, because there were plenty of those to choose from. All right, EJ, I want you to study this corner. You absolutely smashed it. First of all, hey, it's not always bad being the big guy. You descend faster. You're going 0 watts. You're carrying more speed on the downhill. And look at that. You start your power before you even enter that corner. You carry your speed through the corner. And then by the time you get back on terms, you're already in their draft, and you're not having to spike it up to 800 watts. I feel like most – okay, we looked for a lap where EJ did not do 800 watts out of that
you're
last
outing
corner.
me, huh?
I'm outing you. Outing our editing process. It was hard to find one because you were surgy. Like, you were not carrying your speed and momentum through the corners. This one I wanted to specifically call out. You dinked it. Good job, buddy. Please do that, and then – you'll have your 1,500 watt sprint at the end of this race. All right, EJ, we're like, 3 laps to go in this race. About to hit the bottom of this hill. How are you feeling right now?
Apparently better than I thought.
Oh, my God. 1,300 watts. Dude, smashing up this climb. What's going on?
There's a break up the road, and I kind of wanted to be a part of it. I mean, probably, what do you think? Wasn't the best move? I don't know. I mean, like, I snapped off, and I made a gap, but...
Well... Like my buddy says, hindsight's 20/20. So
yeah, it wasn't the best move.
No, it's not. It's not a bad move. I mean, look, the guy that has been killing the Cat 3s lately, the rider in front there, red top, black shorts, he's up there. It wasn't a bad move, but you brought the field with you was the problem. You didn't really snap it hard enough to get a gap. Attacking on the hill, like we talked about, it's always tough, especially if you're a heavier rider, because it's hard to carry.
Yeah.
It's hard to carry mass up that climb. Like, there's going to be lighter climbers who are doing 600 watts, and you're having to do 1,200 or 1,000 or something. Like, that's just the matter. It's just a matter of fact. So, I probably would have waited for over the top of the climb to do it. But yeah, it's a show of power, and now you're in this weird position where you're at the front of the race, and you're doing 1,000 watts into this corner. What on watts is going on?
Dude, I don't know, man. I just. Yeah, and they kind of sit up, and yeah. What do you do in this position? By the way, I found myself here a couple times. I want to hear from you, someone who is very veteran and knows what to do. Like, when you find yourself on the front of the race like this, do you just sit up? Like, what do you do?
Okay, so this is something I bring up on the channel quite a bit, which is you always have to ask yourself this question, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? You have no teammates in this race, right? So that's the first thing you have to think about is, what are your motivations? It's you and you alone. Like, you're racing for yourself, EJ. You have no motivations for any teammates or anything like that. So what you shouldn't be doing is over 300 watts on the front. Knock it off, EJ. Stop it. Drinking game is returned. We're all taking a shot because you're doing an unnecessary effort on front. I would do like 200 watts. You don't want to do 0 because then you're just inviting counterattacks. I would do like 200 watts, and I would just be like, I don't want to be here. And somebody will come around you. Somebody might even do kind of a soft attack, because 200 watts, you're still carrying some speed. But yeah, you don't want to take a pull, because like, who are you doing that for, right? Everyone behind you, your competition's like, thank you, more please.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you didn't do like 400. I'm happy about that. You probably could have done less power, and I like that you kind of did like a mini sag on that climb. You fell back a bit, because with 4 kilometers to go, this is the position I would want to be in. I would want to be like 8th wheel, not in a position where you find yourself on the front again. You kind of want to be hidden. This is my position at Alviso. I find myself in quite a bit on the last lap. Alviso laps are about this long. And that's, like, I always say, like a ghost. Like, I'm not here. I'm hidden. People don't know what's going on. But in reality, I'm back here saving energy. Far enough back where I don't have to take a pull on the front, but not so far back that I'm going to miss some like big race-winning split or something like that. I'm in like that striking distance. And this is when you really have to start fighting for position, EJ. Did you feel fresh for the sprint. I mean, 177 feet per minute on the downhill. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's no camera on me right now, but I'm shaking my head. I remember just being absolutely dead. Like, I was just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Incidentally, good corner right there. Like that was pretty clean.
thank you. I appreciate that. It was probably because I was blacked out, and not thinking. But like, I remember being like, well, I don't really know how much longer I can hang on. Like this was a tough race, and as we've seen, I kind of did it to myself. But, you know, we're learning. We're learning from that. But let's see how it shakes out.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about how good this position is, and we also talked about how strong this rider is in your rear camera. And there he is. He's in the same position. In fact, he got kind of shuffled back there a little bit. Both you guys did. It looks like you're far back right now, but honestly, when it's single file, it's a bit deceptive. Somebody launched an attack, everyone followed. This is what you want to see with 3 kilometers to go as a field sprinter is like, yeah, 10th wheel, maybe your 15th wheel right now. You're not really 10th.
Yeah.
So maybe move up a little bit, but this is what you want to see is maybe around 8th or 10th wheel, starting to move up, finding really efficient ways to get into position, because on the last lap, you don't want to be 10th or 15th. You want to be maybe 5th, especially like last half a lap. You want to be 3rd because that final corner is so consequential. And EJ's starting to feel the effects of 40 minutes of going up that freaking hill and sprinting out of a bunch of corners. And I can tell that you're hurt now because that gap looked pretty serious. And it's a good thing that the field there was a lull there. There was a moment where things slowed down because
or I would have been in trouble.
That
dude.
looked like trouble. Yeah, that looked like trouble to me. You don't want to roll the dice like that with a couple laps to go. In fact, are we coming into 2 to go or are we coming into 1 to go? There's 2 kilometers left. There's not much racing left.
No, there's not. And like you said, if someone attacks there on that downhill part, like I'm toast, right? Like if it goes fast and gets spread out.
Yeah, two things can happen. I mean, there can just be a breakaway that goes and you're not even aware of it. There's nothing you can do about it. You're out of position. It's just happening far in front of you. Or the other more likely thing that can happen on a tough course like this is a few people follow it and you're just caught behind a big split, like a gap that all of a sudden is the 2 seconds, 3 seconds that we saw for a moment, and then it ends up being 10 seconds, and that's just insurmountable with 1.5 laps to go or whatever we were at. But this is it, man.
Yeah, this is Bell Lap. We're coming into it, and wow, dude, yeah.
Move up inside right now. Get past rider in the red. There's a fight now for that rider on the inside. Sprint. He gave you some space, but
yeah. I mean, I should have just hopped in there, but I just don't think I had the punch left. To be quite honest, I was just like, dude.
After the beginning of this race, I'm surprised you had anything left to begin with. Should we talk about now your normalized power for this race? Insane.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? 375, I think, for the 50-minute race or something like that, dude.
So we know it's not your power that is holding you back, EJ. It is these other things we've talked about. In particular, in this race, it is not your cornering line choice or your mechanics. It is your ability to preserve your speed and momentum through the corners, and that eventually catches up with you. When you're doing 800 watts out of most corners and then doing 1100 each time up the climb, like this is what happens, and you eventually run out of matches, even if you're EJ with 375 watts to throw at the bike for an hour.
Yeah, and as you guys can see, I kind of just, I just got popped on. I couldn't do the hill one more time. I'm sorry. I let you guys down, but I was just, I was gassed. That's all I had to throw at it. I mean, put it in perspective, though. I mean, I still rolled in like 15th or 16th or something.
Yeah.
Like, the field was just shot. Like, it was a tough race.
Which is a lot better than I thought you were. I knew this course was going to be challenging for you, EJ. I think I told you that before the race. It's technical. It's got a hill. You are you're big sprint numbers guy. So I'm excited to see what's coming up because we got races coming up. So
dude,
don't forget to hit that subscribe button, guys. EJ, great having you on, my man.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. Little spoiler for you guys. I just got back from Oregon. If you guys follow me on Instagram and Strava, you guys might know that. But Jeff and I are racing against each other this weekend.
Get some. You're my sworn enemy now, EJ.
I'm just going to sit in and follow your wheel because you take good corners. I want to learn from you live action, dude, as it's happening. But, guys, thank you so much for being here. As always, appreciate y'all. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.